Our political analyst, Brian Sobel. Brian, thank you so much for being here. As we just mentioned, President Biden really has this money edge right now over former President Trump. How consequential is that early money lead right now?
Well, to the extent that President Biden has to get his message out and to reaffirm that he's the president, he's in control, he does not have these issues that people are claiming he may have from a cognitive standpoint or whatever. This is important money. Does it change people's minds? Highly unlikely. The people who are backing President Biden, that's quite probably who they're going to vote for. The base that Donald Trump has in the Republican Party, they're going to vote for Donald Trump. So a lot of this money difference in other races would be an enormous factor. In this one, everybody knows who these two players are and have a feel for them.
All right, so how do we make sense, Brian, of what we're seeing here, this strong start in terms of fundraising for President Biden? How do we square that with the fact that he remains deeply unpopular, whatever poll you look at?
The Democrat Party has done a great job of saying to people, hey, we need money. This president needs money. He needs your support. He needs to see you at rallies. He needs cash, and he has and he's done well in that regard. And so that's going to be ongoing. People realize what's at stake here, and for Democrats, the idea of Donald Trump being reelected is just off the table. So they are going to give money in great amounts if they think that's going to help President Biden get reelected.
And that was going to be my next question, Brian. I mean, how much of this sort of boost and fundraising that President Biden is seeing is the fact that right now his anticipated rival is going to be Donald Trump?
I think it's everything. I think it's the play is Donald Trump may be the next president if you don't contribute money, if you don't go to the rallies, if you don't stand up, Donald Trump will be the president. And that's the theme we're hearing in everything. And so Donald Trump isn't having to raise that kind of money because he gets a lot of what we call earned media or free media. Yeah. He's just in the news cycle every single day. Not for some of the problems that the president has, but for other problems that he has. But it's a very interesting mix.
Yeah, let's sort of flesh out a little bit why we're seeing this disparity, at least at this juncture in the election, between the amount of money that President Biden is able to fundraise and former President Trump. I mean, we have to remember, as you say, former President Trump still locked in this primary battle here. Nikki Haley's still in the race. He is also obviously using a lot of money on legal fees as well. So is that, how much does that factor in to that disparity we see in terms of fundraising?
Probably to some extent. I just think the maximum effort has not been applied yet by the Republican Party on their donors because, to your point, there are two real candidates in the race for that nomination. We'll see after South Carolina. We'll see after Super Tuesday what happens. But in the meantime, I don't think there's a huge push to try to equal President Biden's fundraising.
It doesn't matter at this juncture.
It just does not matter yet.
Okay, let's talk for a moment, though, about the types of donations that these two presidential candidates are looking and getting, because Donald Trump really dominates when it comes to those small donations. But here you have President Biden and in the wealthy state of California attending really high dollar fundraisers.
Absolutely. California is considered by Washington, D.C. as an ATM. In the case of the president, he comes out to collect money, pushes the buttons. You look at the events that he's attending today, $6,600 minimum donation to attend, up to huge amounts, depending on whether you get a picture with the president or whatever. That's contrasted with Donald Trump's support, which often comes from people who just send $25 because they think Donald Trump somehow represents the future of the nation. So you've got kind of two different things. And when you see an incumbent president come to a state, he's already won. It's just to really say hi to everybody, give them all a little FaceTime, take the money and head out.
So, and the fact that you see more of those small donations coming into the Trump campaign, what does that suggest about the enthusiasm of that voting base?
It's that base. The voting base for Donald Trump is made up of a lot of people spread out across the country who are not these wealthy donors. They're other people, and they're encouraged to give whatever they can, and they're doing that. And so you see a lot more small donors giving money to Donald Trump. But that's just the state of the race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
well, Brian, you
and things
are
going to change quite a bit here
yes,
as we head toward November.
absolutely. Yeah.
And you're going to stick around throughout this show. We're going to be talking with you more about some of the local Bay Area races coming up. So really looking forward to that conversation, Brian.
Absolutely. Yep.
Thank you so much.